want to force everybody else to live by these rules and aren't willing to do it themselves. This is today the top 5 ideas, concepts, philosophies, top 5 things that leftists claim they believe they don't actually believe. We've been going through this, and this goes far beyond hypocrisy. But first off, everyone's a hypocrite. Let me preface it with this, myself included. But as you look at the political landscape today, which side of the aisle do you think has more blind spots to hypocrisy? Which one better practices what they preach? More importantly, do you think today that the left even believes half of the things that they say? And I don't want to question motive, but at some point when I go, you don't believe there are genders at all, or open, completely open borders? I want to know what you think. Genuinely, if you could let me know. But there are quite a few things that you can look at tangibly and say, okay, the left espouses this, but they don't believe in it. I'm not saying they don't practice it. They clearly don't believe in it.
Their actions are not following what they say.
Well, no, but see, that could just be hypocrisy. This is if the actions actually, if you look, again, you guys can let me know. So first one, free speech isn't absolute. We hear this from the left all the time, right? They love to hate on the idea of free speech, particularly in college.
They loathe that First Amendment.
How often do they use that example? Well, they claim, how often they use the example of fire in a crowded, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Free speech isn't absolute. That's what. But they're the first to say the First Amendment when conservatives don't like what they have to say. Look at Michelle Wolf with the White House Correspondents' Day.
Yeah.
The comedian did her job. She is there to come and push the envelope. That's what comedians do.
At the end of the day, if this is a defense of the First Amendment, then you back comedians.
Right, but a private group bringing somebody in on a college, however, like the Young Republicans bringing in perhaps yours truly to an audience of thousands of people, that can't be allowed because free speech is not absolute. But the White House Correspondents' Dinner, your job is to push the envelope, and you have a right to say whatever you want at the President of the United States.
And you could suck it because free speech.
Yes, exactly, because free speech. Number 2, that fetuses aren't a life. Feti aren't a life. This is one thing, and you brought this up. How many times has the left and how they've used pregnant mothers as a trope?
It's a trope to raise the stakes of a movie. And every time I watch a movie and there's a pregnant mother at the very beginning, I'm like, yeah, he's gonna die. I think Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was one. I can think of a ton of movies.
Yeah.
That have the same trope that you're like, it's just foreshadowing every single time because they pregnant mother to raise the stakes.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah. Even if you look at it in popular culture, you look at Children of Men was one that comes to mind, where the last person born on Earth was literally a celebrity. And I know The Handmaid's Tale they try to use it as an example for pro-abortion. But being able, if you think about it, really being able to birth a child is such a valuable commodity. Any woman they're basically enslaved.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I never saw it.
A good example, Terminator 1. Think of that. Save the unborn John Connor. And the left, they can't help celebrating unborn babies in real life. This is why I say it's not just hypocrisy. It's not just looking at the scripted content. They slip up all the time. And this is where I'm not talking about hypocrisy, where someone says, well, I believe it would be better to give to charity, only I don't because people are selfish. They slip up when you can see what they actually believe, and they call them babies or people instead of fetuses.
All the time.
The most liked picture, was it an Instagram, most liked of 2017, all of 2017?
All yep, all time. Beyonce.
What was it? Explain it for the audience.
Beyonce, her pregnancy announcement. Giant hit. Most liked Instagram posts, I think, of 2017.
There you go.
It's a terrible picture.
They reported, by the way, she was pregnant with a baby, not a fetus. Correct, Sven Computer?
Yeah, all the tweets, the news agencies would say, beep, beep, that she has a second baby, her first baby, and they would never call it she has a pregnancy or she has a fetus.
Leftists love to say it's just a fetus, it's just a clump of cells. But yet they mourn miscarriages. I can never understand. How they put that together. How do you simultaneously mourn? How do you reconcile that?
Yeah.
If it's not a life.
And it's a feminist who's a miscarriage. She misses work for 6 months.
Yeah.
So, by the way, the pro-abortion Clintons, they certainly celebrated Chelsea's unborn baby. If you look at it, and here's some of the, again, it's the slip up. It's not just what they say and how they act, but when they don't know the cameras are rolling, or when their brain hasn't registered because they hadn't diazepam pen yet. When Hillary Clinton slips up right here and even refers to the unborn child as a person.
The unborn person doesn't have constitutional rights.
Nope, definitely didn't hear. I thought I heard zygote.
No, it was really close. Yeah, I'm really glad she's not president of the United States.
I have a cold,
Delayed.
so peas sound like zygotes. Number 3, that less guns equals more safety. This is a
all
great
the
one.
time.
The left, and I know this is one that's easy to point to but we had to include it, right? Every single one, from Jimmy Kimmel to Bernie Sanders. They all have extensive armed protection. And here's the thing. It's not like they have a revolver and a pump shotgun. They have people with all of the guns that they claim they want to be illegal.
One of my favorite shows is The West Wing, right? So the president actually gets shot in one of those episodes, and the very next thing they say, if you think more guns are the solution to our problem, the president was surrounded by the best trained people in the world and was still shot. And I was like, And that's the only reason that nobody else got shot was because they took him down in 7 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
People with guns took down the bad guy. You're missing the point.
I think that's a good, the perfect is the enemy of the good. I think Voltaire said that. In that case, we're not saying that if people, they go, well, you think that you can outrun a 9mm? No, we're not saying that the president will never get shot. But guess what? At the end of the day, with every single one of those apprehensions, every single one without exception, it's a good guy with a gun, whether it's a civilian or trained personnel. It just increases the odds. And at the end of all these stories, the bad guy with a gun is stopped by somebody with a gun, even if you don't like him because you think he's Blackwater Ops. All right, number 4, high taxes are noble, or that at least they work. This is something that we hear a lot. How many Hollywood leftist elite use lawyers to circumvent tax regulation? They start fake businesses. They start nonprofits, offshore accounts to skimp on their fair share of taxes. One thing I actually find hilarious, I think it was one foundation from Bono, ironically gave less than 1% of total contributions to charity. Of course, you have rich Democrat politicians, they owe tons in back tax. Listen, this is too easy. They give almost nothing to charity. And this is one thing that is important. There's a book called Who Really Cares? Though the left, they preach about giving to the poor. Study after study after study after study shows that they are consistently less generous than conservatives. And again, this isn't just about hypocrisy personally with a few different people like Joe Biden, who I think gave less than 2% to charity. This is about consistent empirical data that shows the single biggest determining factors in whether you are charitable are you conservative? Are you a Christian? Or are you at least religious, according to the studies that I've read? That's it. And if you check no to both of those boxes, you're Bernie Sanders and you're tipping 14% on the dot. Not a penny more, you bitch! All you did was pour the coffee! And it wasn't even a stainless steel double-walled carafe! You bitch!
It was a tumbler.
And usually it was leftist. Bernie Sanders, by the way, of course, just bought his 3rd house.
You need
Very
3.
beautiful. Not to be outdone, rabid anti-capitalist Michael Moore owns 9 houses. Which brings us to our next one. Number 5, that climate change is lethal.
Oh, good guy.
You can find hypocrisy with it, but I don't think they believe this.
No.
And I don't want to be in the business of questioning motives, but I do want to be in the business of observing actions, of observing behavior. So how many leftists have multiple homes, multiple carbon-emitting cars, private jets? One of the guy who narrated the Polar Bear film and also was in Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio.
A world that we collectively felt in 2015 as the hottest year in recorded history. Our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet just to be able to find snow. Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species, and we need to work collectively together.
All right.
Right after that, he bought his 7th house.
Yes, exactly. And here's something else that's really interesting. I didn't know. Reg told me this, our researcher at the Beast. This new study shows that actually those highly concerned about climate change, they actually typically make less environmentally friendly decisions than climate change skeptics.
What are they, like, farming out the responsibility to the governments to take care of it? It's not their own personal?
Because they see the government as the charity. If I've given, although no prisons, although no poorhouses, they're the pre-redemption Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Prisons, poorhouses.
Consistently.
They should take care of it. And then post-redemption Ebenezer Scrooge is all about his personal charitable givings because he knows that the government can't take care of it.
Right.
The left constantly fights things that would help their cause. So bird scooters in Austin was a great example. We were there recently.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Same thing with Uber, the sharing economy, solar panels in the desert. Ted Kennedy didn't want wind turbines because he didn't want to harm his view. The bird scooters, we were riding these all around Austin.
They're fantastic. They solve urban transportation problems.
The problem is solved. The urban transportation problem in where weather allows is largely solved. Leonardo DiCaprio, look at the private jets of these celebrities. You see these all, you know what, here's a good example, right? There are practical decisions you can make that the left couldn't make. They could shave off just a little bit, right? Well, instead of a Learjet, use a PC-12. Uses 27% of the fuel of a Learjet. I know someone who's very wealthy in Texas, huge conservative, could afford anything he wants. And guess what he uses? He uses that because it uses less fuel, because he realizes that he doesn't want to waste money, and he shares it with other people.
Free market at work.
You know what, Leo DiCaprio, you get to your premiere 45 minutes later if you buy the single turboprop. I think I need 9 Learjets, but you need to use 1 roll of toilet paper. It goes beyond hypocrisy, right? Everyone's a hypocrite. I understand this, myself included. It's a question of genuine baseline sincerity, and I can't say that the motives are impure. But here, if you actually believe that my crossover is going to lead to this, Just take the propeller plane, get there a few minutes later. That's all I'm saying. Baby steps. Baby step into the Prop C.
I love T2.
But maybe baby steps into the Learjet. No, baby steps into the baby steps to the G6. Baby steps to the PC-12. Maybe baby steps to
G7.
Okay. How about baby steps to flying coach? Hey, if you like this video, subscribe or click the notification bell right next to the subscription button, because subscribing doesn't mean anything anymore now, according to the YouTube gods. And if you like the late night show, you can watch it every single day, a full hour, at loudwithcreditor.com/mugclub. Subscribe there. That way, we aren't beholden to the evil YouTube overlords, and we don't have to start playing video games with mouth sound effects or children react.